What's up, everybody? I'm Harry. This is my friend Samek, and this is the Attunement Podcast number 14.
We're going to keep going forever and ever and ever.
And ever. Watch out soon for podcast number 1400. It'll be here in like 17 years or something. No, that was wrong. Someone do the math on that. I'm going to ask Samek first today, which is, Samek, what have you learned this week on your spiritual journey?
Before we do that, what's the experiment
Oh,
for the podcast?
The experiment of the day is to listen to ourselves as we speak.
Okay. Go into the question. What have I learned this week? It's about, I've been using a little AI a little more for emotional processing and just talking to it to reflect back to me what I'm saying. And then I just ramble. I like turn it on and I ramble for 5-6 minutes, and then I read back what it says. I tell it to just say feelings and needs, like very basic. Sometimes it gives me really poetic language and immediately stop it. And I'm like, hey, stop with the poetic language. It's pissing me off. Just tell me what I exactly said word for word, but just like translated feelings and need based on nonviolent communication. And that's been really helpful. And I've hit like a new cycle of my little circle of like, it felt like last year my life was a lie. Like everything I was doing was a no, and it didn't feel very good. And I'm circling, and now nothing feels like a no anymore. They all feel like maybes, but all the maybes feel a lot better than the no's. Like the no's felt so bad that it felt like I was living a life of a lie, a job I didn't like, showing up with my parents in a way I didn't enjoy, showing up with friends in ways that wasn't fully me, and with a stick up my ass, and I was being Mr. Serious all the time. But then like that all started changing since I started doing like the emotional work along with just meditation. And as that changed, all the no's are melting away and the life feels so much better. But then I moved from the no's to the maybes because the maybes felt so much better than the no's, because the maybes had my wants in them, even if they weren't fully accurate. It's like, oh, I want this, but this is not exactly what I want. But like, this is so much better than the no's. Like, why would I not do this? So
what's a maybe? What's a maybe in your life right now?
What's a maybe in my life? I feel like I have meetings. I have a lot of meetings in my life that are maybes because I don't have a job. So then,
like emotional work meetings.
Yes.
Cool.
I really want to do boxing, but like I don't really like the boxing gym I'm going to. So I'm still going there because it's a maybe, but I haven't like put in the effort to find the yes. And yesterday was the first time I worked out where it was like a yes workout instead of a maybe workout. Nice. Usually I go to the gym and I have like a set of exercises, and all the exercises, like, this is kind of what I want to do. And then I do it. And by the end of it, I'm like, that was kind of fun. But yesterday I was like, do I want to do this exercise? And I asked my soul, I asked God, and God was like, yes. And then I did pull-ups, and then I was like, do I want to do push-ups? Because I had it in my exercise routine, and I looked at it, I was like, no, I hate push-ups. I was like, oh, really? Then what do I want to do? I was like, I want to do incline bench right now. So I went to the incline bench and I did some of that. And I was like, wait, the voice in the head that resisted the push-ups was completely gone. I was like non-resisted, flowy incline bench. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So I kept doing that for every exercise, or I just sat with it for a minute because this is really what I want to do. And it went from, sometimes it was like a maybe, it's kind of what I want to do. But then I was like, oh, if it's a maybe, then it's not a full yes. What would make this a full yes? And it was a very simple practice for the exercise routine. And it modified, they're basically hitting the same muscles, just changing the exercise to be more enjoyable. But that made the whole workout a lot more enjoyable. But this pattern is everywhere of me saying yes to the maybes, because the maybes feel so much better than the no's. And I noticed it more clearly with my parents, because over the past year, I've been having a lot of I would say like I worked with the relationship with my parents a lot, worked on the relationship with my parents a lot. And in the past it was full no, like I don't want to hang out with them. I hate them, blah, 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 blah. But it was a lot of me just showing up in ways I didn't enjoy. And now I've showed up more and more in ways that I enjoy, but it doesn't feel like a full yes. It just feels like, oh, this is kind of fun. I get to connect kind of sometimes. And I'm still like slightly caretaking them to keep the peace, but I'm also showing up like myself, and I draw boundaries when I need to, when it's too much of them like overstepping it. But it's still, this like pattern is everywhere. And I think 3 days ago, when we started masterclass, I wrote my intro, and immediately I was hit with this massive wave of anxiety. And I was hit with it as in I started noticing it more clearly, where in the masterclass intro, I wrote, I want to fully surrender. That's my goal of masterclass. And then immediately I was like, what's stopping me from fully surrendering? Then it was just this anxiety bubble of, oh, this is not the life I want to surrender to. So that was an interesting experience, and it's automatically unfolding, because now that I notice the pain is pointing me to sit with all the maybes that I said yes to.
Ooh. What I notice is that you say the maybes feel better than the no's, but what you mean by no is not saying no. It sounds like to me, like when you were at your job you were not saying no to your job. You were not leaving your job when you wanted to. Do I have that right?
Yeah, when I say a life of no's, what I mean is a life that just is not doesn't have any of my wants in it. Like for me, if I was asked to go back to, if I was asked when I was at the job to apply for this job, it would have been a no.
Mm-hmm.
It was cruising on the lifestyle I don't want, which I'm currently also doing, but not really, because it's like slowly changing. But previously it was like a lifestyle that was all no's, while now it's a lifestyle that's almost like all maybes. I don't think I do anything that's a full no.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it confused me at first, but now I'm like, the more you say no when you actually want to, the more you're going to be living a life you actually want.
Yeah.
And one, I relate to the maybes thing. Two, we just had a little fight right before the podcast, which I would say was about your maybes. I was like, bro, when it's a maybe, just fucking say no. And what's the question? It's like, oh yeah, the question's like, what's a maybe? What is somatically and at its essence, what is a maybe?
But maybe is you if someone asks me of a request, and the request is in my system, like, oh, I kind of want to do that, but it's not like fully like, oh yeah, I want to do that. It's like I kind of want to do that. Especially like for the fight we had, Harry was asking me to like edit the podcast at this time, blah blah blah, and I would say like, or like make a tweet like this, and in my head I was like, I kind of want to do that, but it's not exactly what I want to do. It's not my authentic expression of what I exactly want, and I haven't. I know that, but I didn't acknowledge it, or I wasn't fully in awareness. So I would just say yes, because it's in alignment enough where I would feel okay with saying yes. That's usually a maybe for me. But I'm noticing the pain in even that. Like there's like it was subtle until I noticed it. Then now it's just painful of saying yes to the maybes that I'm saying yes to. And somatically, it feels like just not fully acknowledging my core. So usually the yeses, the maybes feel like slight discomfort in my gut or my heart. And then it's just ignoring the speed, like going over the speed bump without slowing down.
I want to be like, if we assume that a maybe is made up of some clear yes and some clear no,
Yeah.
then in general, what is the part of you saying yes and what is the part of you saying no? And like, what's making it that you don't say like no to this part of this and yes to this part of this, but instead you're saying maybe, and you're like both not saying yes and not saying no?
It's a question of attunement.
Mm.
So the way that my system works, I don't have many thoughts. It's all very somatic for me, as in usually if I am in my head, it means I'm like cycling or overthinking. I'm spinning on something, but that's not what usually happens. So if someone asks me something, I get an immediate answer in my head. That's like the first initial answer, but there's always like somatic sensations in my body. Sometimes the somatic sensations feel clean, like really clean pipes. Sometimes there's like, oh, my gut feels kind of wrong. My heart is like kind of defending right now. And it takes attuning for a few minutes to like translate what that means fully to my head. And in the past, I would just ignore it because in ignoring it is the first answer feels good enough is like the story. It's like, oh yeah, this is kind of what I want. Got it. Cool. But now I want to fully attune to all the sensations in my body and translate it to, it's like my gut's like a yes. Usually it's like my gut is kind of like a yes and my head is like, that's good enough. And then I would go with it. But now it's like, I want to sit with the gut is kind of like a yes. What would make it a full yes? My heart is a no. What would make that a yes? And sit with those questions and attune to those parts of me instead of overriding it, because the initial answer is like yes, but it hasn't discerned between the maybes and the yes and the no's. And the head is like just wanting to move forward and do things.
And then I'm also curious, like, that's an interesting, you said your heart says no, and then you say, what would make that a yes? I'm like, what makes that the question?
Sometimes there's like no's where if I ask the heart, like, what would make it a yes? It comes up with something that's a hell yes to it. That's about it. Like, there's a lot of times where there's an example. I would say there was a course that I wanted to take, and my heart was a no, but my head was a yes, my gut was a yes, my heart was a no. So then I hopped on the discovery call for the course, and I just told her straight up, like, this is a no for me, but I really want to take it. So help me convince myself to take it. And she gave me like a few $1,000s off the course, just based on my excitement for it and based on the things that I couldn't do. So she had like a retreat with the course and this and that. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. But I want to take the course. And I also don't want to pay full price if I'm not doing those things. So my heart is a no. And then she like kind of removed all of those and they gave me like a discounted price. I was like, oh, this is a hell yes from my heart. My head, my gut's like a kind of a maybe. I overrode that maybe, so I got fucked. But my head was a yes and my heart was a yes, and then I signed up for the course. It was like, that's an example. So this was before, this was like 3 weeks ago, so I didn't know the pattern. But my gut was definitely a maybe.
I'm curious, okay, well, so I'll just ask, how much of that made sense to me, because like most of you want to say yes. So it's like, oh, is there a way to get my heart on board? And I'm also hearing a bias towards yes. I'm like, what about when most of you say no and part of you saying yes? Would you be like, what would make you feel good about saying no? Or like, I'm kind of like, what's your relationship with saying no?
That's a great question. I would say I lean towards yes, just like my patterns, based on my patterns. I want to experiment with asking myself what would make this a no, and that would provide a lot of clarity in my life as a whole.
Cool. Anything else here for you?
No, it's been really fun. I say no, but yes. It's been really fun to notice the pain like it feels kind of like a underlying slow anxiety about the things, everything I'm doing. And in noticing the pain, I'm able to like work with it. But ignoring the pain basically makes it so nothing changes. Basically, like awareness itself will take care of everything. And in noticing the somatic pain, it's automatically cleaning up and taking care of it for me. That's it. I'm gonna go back to you. What have you been learning on your spiritual journey this week, Harry?
We've got helplessness, and then we got something similar to your maybes. How I'm going to talk about the maybes first. You could call it a maybe. I did a contact improv jam 2 days ago, and you can look up contact improv if you want, but like just weird. Imagine 20 people in a room and they're all being their inner childs, and they're like playing kind of like a human dog park. Like some people are just like over there, like roughhousing a little bit. Some people are like dancing together, like playfully, and like maybe like picking each other up in cool ways, or like spinning around each other. Pretty cool. It's a little bit hard to explain, but I was at a contact improv jam and I was dancing with my friend, and for the first like, I don't know, 45 minutes or hour we were dancing together, I was like, fuck yeah, this rocks. And then like we were just like lying on each other, and I was like, fuck yeah, this rocks. And I was like, oh, I'm actually done with this. But I was receiving so much connection doing a particular thing. I was receiving so much connection dancing with this person. And so part of me is like, can we just keep dancing with this person and keep on receiving connection? But I would say something that was necessary for me to receive connection was being my authentic self. And up until that point, dancing with that person was authentic. But after that, but then dancing with that person no longer became authentic. And I was like, no, can I force myself to want to dance with this person? Because I know I'll get love and connection if my authentic self wants to dance with this person. And so then I was like, still kind of dancing with that person for like 20 minutes, but it like wasn't enjoyable. I'm like kind of trying to pretend it's enjoyable. I'm like, oh, I should probably leave, but I'm too scared to leave. That's like the maybe, or like maybe the freeze, but that's like the maybe. And then eventually I'm like, okay, I need to leave. Well, actually that person just left. And I was like, one, I was like, oh my God, no, they left. And two, I was like, oh my God, thank God they left. So I still don't see this super clearly. Like, I don't know how to say it concisely, but I have an authentic want and I'm getting connection by expressing it. And then the authentic want changes and I like resist the change because I'm afraid that in my new authentic want, I won't get connection. But then this is like the classic quote, which is like, whatever, paraphrased. You can't get love if you're not being yourself, because then it's not you who's getting the love. It's your mask who's getting the love. And it's also not really being loved. It's just being like not judged or something. So I've had so many mini versions of that where I'm like getting so much connection. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm getting connection for being myself. And I'm like, okay, let's just be myself how I was an hour ago so that I get the connection. But it's like not being myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels very similar to my thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this thing is like something kind of want to do, and it gives me a lot of fulfillment and connection with myself or with the other person. Like all the emotional work calls I've set up, or all of this, like all the work I'm doing. But then it becomes like, I kind of want to do this for the connection, but also kind of don't want to do this because it doesn't feel like exactly what I want to do. But like, let me just keep doing it because it's been working.
Yeah.
Like you're just like continuing the train of the maybe, because for me it was just not slowing down to even see the yes. Like, what is the yes? Because it feels like if I see the yes very clearly and I'm able to communicate it, I usually get exactly what I want. I remember one of the podcast episodes, I was like, I'm so mad at God because when I say exactly what I want, people give it to me. But I didn't know that. So I kept not saying exactly what I want. So there's an aspect of that insight trickling back around into more subtle ways of how I'm showing up in life.
Yeah. Yeah. And the version of this I had with my friend last night resonates with that, which like we're hanging out and I was like, I'm supposed to hang out and talk with my friend. Ugh. And then I went and did a helplessness release for like 5 minutes, and then I came back and was like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. I want to watch this video podcast with you. Do you want to watch this with me? And she was like, yeah. And we watched together. I was like, oh, this rocks. But before that, I was like, I can't be my authentic self because I have to talk to her right now and I'm tired. So yeah, I was able to realize what I want and then just ask for it, and then I got what I wanted. Yeah.
I like the helplessness component to it because I would say there is a feeling through the helplessness to get to the empowered want.
Yes, exactly.
Because the maybes is, in a way, playing victim to reality.
Yeah. It literally is so much like surrendering to what I want and surrendering to the helplessness around what I want. Because literally that thing is like, fuck, can't I want the same thing that I wanted 30 minutes ago? And I'm like, I know I want something different, but I want to pretend I don't. I'm like, fuck. What I want is changing moment by moment. Fuck. Like I can't control what I want. Like I'm sufficiently attuned to what I want that I know I don't want the thing I want myself to want. Fuck.
Yeah.
And I can't control it.
I'm realizing, like, when I wrote in the posts, like, I want to fully surrender in the masterclass post, and it immediately brought up all the anxieties around all my maybes. That was exactly what needed to happen for me to fully surrender, because I can't surrender to something that's a maybe. I can only surrender to my authentic self. Like, even the surrender itself can only happen when I'm showing up fully authentically, because like, how can I surrender to something that's not me?
Yeah. And the other part of my learnings this week has been helplessness. At the start of the week, I was texting Samek and I was like, what do I do? 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 And my brain was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I'm frustrated that I didn't realize it was helplessness earlier, because once I realized it was helplessness, I was like, oh. And then I re-listened to the Art of Accomplishment Helplessness podcast, TLDR. There's a yin yang of helplessness and fear. So helplessness always has a component of fear, and fear always has a component of helplessness. Helplessness is closely related to surrender. Like you could say the positive side of it'd say helplessness is kind of like, I can't control something, but I want to control it. And surrender is like, I can't control that thing. And that's how it is.
I would say, even like without the fear, it's helplessness immediately just turns into surrender. Because if you're not scared, like, you're not going to want to control it. And then if you notice that you can't control it, then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I like notice that you can't control it, because I think what you're saying is true. And in terms of directionally moving through it, it's not like oh, I'm gonna not be scared now. Or like it's not like that at all. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be really fucking scared. And like the thing that actually changed things for me was like, if you know trauma release exercise, you can look that up, which is basically a fear release or a helplessness release, in my opinion. But yeah, basically doing a helplessness release, like shaking on the ground for 5 minutes, and like thinking about whatever I'm scared of, thinking of the worst case scenario. That can be intense if you do that. So yeah, but I also just, yeah, if you're going to do that, just notice your own intensity, track yourself. But after doing that, especially the first time after I did a medium-sized helplessness release, it changed everything. Like I was totally trapped. Especially intellectually. And then I just saw all these options, and literally like the hour after I did that, there's the summer camp I'm working at, and I was like looking at their website, and I was like, there was so many paths I was excited about. And before the helplessness release, I was like, how am I going to make money? I need to make money for this. What am I going to do for work? And after the helplessness release, like everything I looked at was an opportunity. It's like, oh my God, like I want to start a boarding school. And it's like, I want to run this retreat. And it's like, oh my God, I want to start this community. And it's like, oh, I already planned out the whole organizational chart in the shower. And there was so much excitement and empowerment. And then on the other side of the helplessness was intense in one way, but then there's like the positive version of it, which was also super intense. And I had a view conversation where I was literally just like feeling, okay, here's how I'm going to say it. The energy on the other side of the helplessness became kind of manic for me. And my mind there was so much energy. And now it wasn't like, how am I going to make money? It's like, I have all the ideas and all the energy right now. How do I manage it to use it effectively? And I don't need to, but that's what my mind was trying to do. And so that turns it into like this manic energy, and just like solving everything all at once. And it's like, yeah, I have the whole organizational design chart in my head as I'm in the shower. Then I had a conversation with a friend. I was like, okay, I'm just going to feel the manic energy. Like it feels a little ungrounded. Like it feels like it's in my head, kind of uncomfortable. And I literally just felt that for 20 minutes. And it just turned into like the deepest empowerment I've ever felt in my life. Just like clear energy channel through the center of the front of my body, a little bit inside, and literally feeling like a lion hanging out on the savannah, and like not like sleeping, but you know, you're just chilling, and you're like, I'm just hanging out, but like also I can kill anything I see, and also I can like dominate anything I see, but also I'm just hanging out. Like I'm not killing or dominating or controlling. I'm just hanging out, but I'm entirely safe, but I'm also entirely powerful. Joe Hudson has said about that feeling, all is well in my kingdom. You could also say, everything the light touches is yours. It was crazy. It was really cool. And that's my story.
Bang. Anything else?
It's also an obligation thread. Yeah, there's the helplessness. Before I knew it was helplessness, I felt it. So the resisted helplessness felt like obligation. So it felt like, I have to do this. I can't do this. I shouldn't do that. And so that was like the intellectual structure of it. And so something that was also helpful for me was questioning the assumptions to break through the intellectual layer of the obligations. It's like, oh, there's nothing to do right now. And it's like, oh, what's the assumption? And it's like, oh, there's nothing I want to do right now. It's like, what's the question that flies in the face of the assumption? What do I want to do right now? It's like, oh, I want to lie on the ground and do nothing. And it's like, okay, Wait, what? Okay, I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
Dang.
Bang. All right. Let me see what I want to ask you. If you, yeah, I'm gonna do that. If you could have told yourself anything at the beginning of this week, what would you have told yourself?
That one's always hard because looking back, it always feels like I did exactly what I was gonna, exactly right moves. I made all the right moves. I just didn't know that I was making all the right moves. Is the experience that I have. Slow down. Maybe, but I did slow down. Like I did it pretty quickly the moment I realized that I was running away from.
Maybe.
This is a hard question to answer because.
Wait, what question would you have asked yourself?
Oh, that's a lot better. What question would I have asked myself? How much joy can you take from the anxiety? How much pleasure is in the anxiety right now? That's one aspect of the question. Another one would be, what is the anxiety trying to tell you? Another one is, what do you get to learn about your life feeling this new layer of obligation and anxiety that is currently there? All of those would basically be pointing to an enjoyable way that I could feel my anxiety to learn the lessons that I'm currently still learning. And in all honesty, the anxiety, when I feel it, there's a lot of helplessness, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of shame, and there's also a lot of energy and excitement and joy. So it feels like this ball in my heart, and then it like unravels slowly every time I feel it. And then every time I have felt it, I felt extremely manic because coming out of it, there's just a lot of energy and ideas to do things. And like Harry said about the lion thing, yesterday I was so 2 days ago, I felt the manic energy and I acted manic for like 2 hours. And then yesterday I felt the manic energy and I was just with it. And I felt like a lion. It was probably not as strong as Harry because I only did it for 5 minutes, but then I just had clarity. And I would just slowly, like a lion, slowly walking around, washing the dishes, cleaning my room, having a very clear idea of what I want, journaling, writing my notes. It all just felt like it was like a very empowered way of slowly going about doing it instead of the manic, like I got to do the, which it honestly is what it felt like in Sunday. So, and there's an aspect of like, pointers, it's already happening, which is like pointers to the ball of emotion, which moves me towards having a lot of energy, and then attuning to the energy such that I have a lot of clarity and determination towards moving towards the things that I already wanted to do anyways.
Yeah. And for me, the manic energy is like eyes are closed, like where are the fucking levers? I'm gonna fucking pull all of them. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? And then attuning to that manic energy towards something more like it becomes something more like the lion, which is like I see everything I need to see in this moment. Like I see all the levers right now. And so like then it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the dishes. Like I'm gonna journal.
There was a cool experience that I had when I was attuning to the manic energy, which is my vision was completely expansive. As in I could see my entire apartment. for what it was, instead of like being narrowly focused on this thing or this thing. And I was walking around yesterday and it felt so flow. It was like the most effortless walk I've ever been in, where everything was expansive and everything felt really new to me in that expansive way, where nothing, it was like, I'm walking around, I'm seeing the trees and the bridge, but then I'm seeing the tree and the bridge and the sidewalk and the people and everything. And it's this big expansive circle. I call it the global eyeball. The global eyeball was here, and I was walking with the global eyeball, allowing all of it to be there instead of trying to fix any particular. There was no stuckness in the global eyeball. But there is, like, in the manic energy, there's like still this like constriction aspect to it. In the anxiety, there's a lot of constriction aspect to it. But there's a lot of energy as a whole in my system right now. And as I attune to it, there is a relaxed expansiveness that feels a lot chiller, but is still a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But because it's so expansive, it doesn't feel like a lot of energy.
Yeah. There's so that podcast I listened to was the most recent Art of Accomplishment video podcast. They were breaking down a coaching session that Joe Hudson had done. And the first minute of that video, in the first 5 seconds of that coaching call, the guy talking to Joe like turns down like 3 or 4 times. And the first thing Joe says, they watch 5 seconds of the coaching breakdown. And he's like, pause it. And he's like, yeah, so we already see this guy turn down like 4 times. And so like, that's our first clue. That's our first cue that this is going to be about like being scared to be seen and pushing it away, and also having trouble seeing other people or seeing yourself clearly. And it's like, I did not notice that until he said it. Or that so well signifies to me what you just said, which is a very global awareness and a lot of energy, like a shit ton of clarity and presence to even notice that, but also being open to all of the stimulus such that he could notice if he had a gut feeling, he could notice the looking away, he could notice that he was hedging in his words. There's so many different channels of information coming through. And so it's not like, Joe wasn't like, oh, is he going to look down? Is he going to look down? It's like global. And then like, that's the thing that stood out to him, I presume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Anything else here for you, sir?
Yeah, I really enjoy attuning to all those painful bits, and I'm feeling really excited to sit with all those feelings again. And it really points to the thing. Another thing I've noticed is it points to the places that I am constricted. So I'm kind of constricted around my finances. I am constricted around my finances because there's a lot of stories that I haven't investigated and anxieties and fears around like having a financial plan and figuring out exactly what I want to do. So then when my awareness is expanded, that's the thing that draws me restricted, is when I start worrying about that. So now the next thing I want to investigate is now just there directly in front of me. It's like, okay, cool. I guess that's the next thing I look at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like you bringing up attunement too. I almost think of this thing we're talking about, like the difference between the manic energy and being the lion is being in the lion feels like trusting that attunement to the present moment and its totality is all that's needed.
Yeah.
Boom.
I would say it's the form of the surrender that I want. And sometimes I think of surrender and it's a very like submissive, like, oh, you're gonna surrender. In my head, like there's an idea of that, but no. When I surrender and it feels good, it feels like I'm a lion that knows exactly what's gonna happen next and everything's gonna be fine. And I know exactly what I want to do. And the next step is clear and everything's expansive and I can see everything happening and it's all okay. And the next step is the next step, and it's going to be taken. And I'm completely surrendered to the present moment to move forward as it will, however it will, even if I don't have control.
All is well in my kingdom.
Exactly. What do I want to ask you? Now, the first thing I'm curious of is how much longer are you in Earthdance?
1 week.
Oh shit, you're coming to an end.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Honestly, I'm not feeling it very much. I'm so excited to work at this summer camp. If I think about the end of Earthdance, yeah, I mean, I think it's dampened by like I can always come back. I feel like I can always come back. I think I will come back. I can be friends on the phone with the people who I want to be friends with on the phone. I've made here, but I actually think the biggest thing is I've learned so much since I've been here. As you know, if you're listening to this podcast, and it feels so part of me. Like there's so little of me that's like, Earthdance is such a perfect loving place and I need it to love me. I'm like, what I got out of Earthdance was like being like, holy shit, when I show up in a certain way, connection just fucking gets shot at my face in a constant stream from all directions, including my fucking eye doctor. So it's like, it feels so hairy that I'm like, it almost doesn't feel like I'm going to lose anything when I leave. Yeah. And I mean, there are so many things that rock about this place, and I think I'm going to miss them, but I think I'm going to miss them when I'm gone. And it's not hitting me yet. I got 5 days left. It's not hitting me yet. And I think also part of that is like, I mean, I'm going to the summer camp, so I'm still going to be in nature. I'm still going to have people making great food for me. I'm still going to be working in the kitchen with the homies. I'm still going to be in an awesome culture that faces conflict intentionally. Also, I'm going to get to hang out with kids. Like on the things I care about, it's maybe just an upgrade for me. But I'm sure there's things I'll miss. But right now, I'm just excited. Yeah.
Great. Reflecting on Earthdance, then, I'm curious about like what's something that you didn't expect to, like what's something big that you didn't expect to learn. I'm assuming it's a connection thing, but like moving into Earthdance, there was like that aspect of, oh, there's going to be so much safety shot into my bloodstream. I wonder how that's going to change me. But now, like having been here for that long, what was something that surprised you about being here?
Feel free to ask a follow-up if this isn't answering your question. But what comes to mind about what surprised me is, and this is classic, but this is so classic, it makes me mad that I'm going to say it again, but I did learn it again, which is, man, so classic. I went to my first contact-improv jam the first time I was here, and the first day I was here, and being at a contact-improv jam in a new place with no people I know is like the perfect trigger for me. It's like, do I belong? Does anyone want to touch me? Does anyone want to dance with me? Is anyone attracted with me? Are people going to think I'm creepy? If I resist and don't join, are people going to judge me and think I'm lame for that? Or like shouldn't even be here? Am I disgusting? Etc. You get the idea. And so I had a hard time the first one. I'm still glad I went, but it was hard, and I barely danced with anyone, and I mostly just sat on the side of the room the whole time, which is like part of the form. Like, I doubt anyone was judging me for sitting on the side, and other people there were other people who did that too, but that was still pretty uncomfortable for me. And in my head, overcoming that looks like I am hairy, and now I am confident, and now I reach out for connection even when I'm scared with women I'm attracted to, always proactively, because I'm the best and I love myself. You could say like posturing, but right, like overcoming the fear. And like the contact improv jam 2 days ago, what actually happened is like, oh, I feel like sitting on the side for a little bit. I was like, oh, I feel like lying down like close to the center of the room and like wiggling around a little bit. And it's like, oh, like my two friends are dancing together. Like I would love to dance with my two friends. And it's like, oh, I'm dancing with my two friends. And it's like, oh, I'm like cuddling with one of my friends. And it's like, oh, I kind of want to leave. And it's like, okay, I'm done. And it's like, oh, I want to talk to that person. It's like, oh, this person's really cool. It's like, okay, I'm done talking to that person. I want to go to sleep. But there's no like, it's like, oh my God, I'm terrified to talk to that person. I'm gonna do it. Which is how my brain thought it was gonna look. It's just like, oh, that person's literally my friend now, or like, I just want to dance with them, or like that person seems cool. Like I just want to talk to them. And there's still some fear, but I'm not overcoming the fear. I'm just doing what I want to do. Send tweet.
Dang.
Bang.
Anything else for you?
Just, that as the same thing applied to, I was expecting to cuddle with people way more than I did here because people are pretty comfortable with touch here. And it's just the same exact thing on cuddling. Like I thought it was going to be like, oh, I'm scared. And then it's like, I'm going to assume I belong. And then I'm going to get accepted. But it was just like, oh, wait, I actually don't want to cuddle with any of you because I don't fucking know you. And then 2 days ago, two of my friends, not two strangers who I wanted to cuddle with, two of my friends were cuddling. I was like, oh, this is a little bit scary, but I do just want to cuddle with my friends. And I cuddle with my friends and rock. Same exact thing. I said that like, I think 10 podcasts ago. I learned a very similar thing at swing dance. I'll probably learn it again, but it's a good one. I want to say an essence of it. What's the essence of it? It's like thinking I need to overcome my fear, when in reality, the goal is just doing what I want.
Yeah. I'm thinking about reunion when you share all of this, because for all the reunion, I only did things I wanted, and I never thought about like, oh, I need to overcome this or overcome this. But there's like, I was in cuddle puddles. I think cuddling, my system was like, cuddling's kind of weird with a bunch of strangers. What's a cuddle puddle? And I went there and I'm hanging out with like all these people I absolutely love, and they're just hugging each other on the floor. I'm like, I want to do that. But it wasn't like oh, there was no trying in it. There was nothing involved. It just kept, it was all just showing up authentically and following the wants. And because of the environment being art of accomplishment culture, there wasn't even like a question of like, why would I do something I don't want? But when I'm out here in the real world, I'm just like, oh, I need to do that because that's actually, it's like I need to overcome this thing and have belonging. When in reality, it's all just still being myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that seems like the thread between all the things I talked about today, and at least some of your things, but all the things I talked about today, it's like thinking I need to overcome something, but actually thinking I need to overcome I'm not going to explain it. Thinking I need to overcome something and then realizing like, oh, I can just do what I want. What? And then when I do what I want, I get the thing that I was trying to get by trying to overcome something. And I'm like, what? But what I don't get is the feeling of fucking dominating myself by overcoming myself. Let's fucking go. And so then I get what I want, but it's like harder to attach to my ego. So there's a little, and that's kind of where the helplessness comes in. It's like, I don't actually control if I overcome myself. I don't actually control if I get what I want in a lot of ways. Like actually I was just vibing and then people were nice to me. And like, it didn't even really feel like it was about me. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. Great takes. It's about, it honestly feels like, I say like go slow, but even if that's not what you, because for me, the feelings that come up, the fear and the shame and the helplessness, they all feel really bad. So I want to run away from them when they're in a ball like that. But like each individually doesn't feel bad. And then slowly attuning to it just adds a level of expansiveness, clarity, and determination of just being a lion that automatically happens. And the lion is just being myself. That's what the lion is actually.
And when we talk about this, I'm imagining people listening and even my past self listening, which is I'm like, be yourself is like an awesome thing that happens for me after processing my helplessness and it transforming into surrender and empowerment. But like, it's probably not the most helpful advice. Like that thing that actually brought me to this place was like feeling and enjoying and moving my helplessness. Yeah. And then it turns out I ended up naturally being myself. But you can't try to be yourself. You can't try to not try to be yourself. You can only feel safe, and then you will naturally be yourself. And part of feeling safe can be learning to enjoy the feeling of helplessness. Bang.
Bang. And that's it. If you have anything else to add, but thank you everyone for watching to the 14th episode of the Attunement Podcast. We'll continue doing this for as long as we enjoy it. And Harry has an announcement today.
I have an announcement, everybody. You may have heard me and Samek are running the Attunement Residency this September for 1 week. We're going to be doing 4 hours of relational meditation a day. There's an announcement on our YouTube channel, but we've also got a website, harryandsamek.com. Banger domain name. harryandsamek.com. You know what it is. That's it. Take us out, Samek.
Took us out. We're done.
But wait, but you need to say the enjoy thing.
Yeah, we already said the enjoy thing.
Oh shit. Well, say it again because I fucked it up.
We're gonna continue doing this for as long as we enjoy it. Passing it back to Harry.
That's our promise to you. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Love you. Bye.